Think about it. There is a common practice among, let's just go with social studies teachers, at least from my experience growing up, being in social studies, there was a common activity, and it was you were given a stance. In a debate, you were provided with this stance that you had to take, and you were provided with some time, and then you were forced to, not with a gun to your head, but like you were forced to defend this stance in which you were assigned. Do you know what I'm talking about, dear listener? And I've been thinking about this as a now history teacher, and I don't agree with it. And I try not to do it anymore for this reason. Having someone just take a stance and then learn how to defend that stance no matter what is only really reinforcing just proving how you can be right even if you're wrong. It takes away from the scientific curiosity of life, and the reward is not being right. The reward is learning. Right? If we're just having and it's not that big of a deal. Like, I'm not saying like this is what's wrong with America, but like if you go on Facebook and like you see people arguing or on whatever, people like to have their stance and then figure out a way to use data, evidence, logic, whatever, to prove themselves right. That is the opposite of the scientific method. It's being human, it is what it is. But like the scientific method is you observe, you develop a hypothesis, like this, okay, this could be the potential explanation, or like this is my theory as to what's going on or why it's happening. You test it out, you look at the results of the data, and then you either confirm, yes, I was correct, or no, I wasn't. I need to alter my hypothesis. That should be the mindset of us as like critical thinking citizens. The mindset should be not, let me just say or understand. The mindset of citizens should not be, let me just say what I believe and then figure out how to prove that right. Insert topic on like climate change, guns, transgender, whatever, like blah, 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 blah. A lot of people have their politics or their own personal identity, and they know what they believe, and then they will use confirmation bias to try to find a way to prove themselves right or prove their idea right, therefore support their own identity, and like who they are can remain intact. That is if you allow your ego to be, or yourself to be defined by being correct in your ideas. What if we alternate or shift our perspective on ourselves of, I'm just curious. I'm open. I'm open to learn. I have an inquisitive mind, and I'm okay. It is okay to admit, number one, that you're wrong. Number two, more importantly, that I don't know what I think about blank yet. Because if you go in, it's like, well, this is what I think, ego is going to get in the way, and you're going to try to support or prove yourself right. Having the inquisitive, scientific, curious mind, going through life, also on the daily. I feel like now I'm not going to have enough time, so this might be like what the next podcast episode is about, of like being a daily scientist and like thinking about thinking every single day, like how you can go about it. But let's potentially reflect on ourselves, and I will do the same. How often am I, when confronted with information, trying to find the way to like, and like immediately nip, if it doesn't support what I think, like I'm just already picking apart all the what I think are flaws just to reinforce or support what I believe, as opposed to just genuinely listening and being curious. I don't know. Is it ego? Can we reduce the ego? Something to think about.